So good morning everyone. So today's video we are going to see about CAM 16 reading test 1. So regarding reading test in IELTS, what I like to say is it's like a vocabulary test. You have to understand the words properly in order to answer the questions. It's a reading comprehension, but we do follow certain techniques in order to answer those questions. Yeah, let us see. So let us take a reading passage 1 in CAM 16. Why we need to protect polar bears. Let's take a quick glimpse over the passage. It's enough you just skim the passage. You may not scan the every data. So polar bears are being increasingly threatened by the effects of climatic change, their disappearance, and uniquely adapted to extreme conditions of Arctic Circle, that temperature reaches minus 40 degrees Celsius. And there is 11 centimeter of fat under their skin, adipose tissue. And 2014, a study by Xinping Liu and his colleagues sheds light on this mystery. So some research about polar bears. The genome of polar bear provide the solution for another condition, that is older generation osteoporosis. This is a disease where bones, some disease that comes to polar bears. Then they have come up with the data of female polar bears. Physiologist Alenda Lennox and Alan Goodship found an explanation for this paradox. And medical benefit of polar bear for humanity. And Allison Ames in 2008, polar bear showed deliberate and focused manipulation. And as far as emotions, evidence is once again anecdotal. Emotions of polar bears and climate change were to lead to their extinction. This would mean not only to the loss of potential breakthrough in human medicine, but more importantly, the disappearance of an intelligent logistic animal. So with this, I just go to the question. So my questions 1 to 7, I have to find whether the following statement agree with the information given in the reading passage. If the statement agrees with the information, it is going to be true. If the statement contradicts the information, it is false. If there is no information on this, I will say not given. So, polar bears suffer from various health problems due to the buildup of fat under their skin. This is my question. Polar bears suffer from various health problems due to the buildup of fat under their skin. As soon as I read the question, I either you could convert the statement into 3 segments like this. Suffer health problems due to buildup of fat under the skin. Okay, or you could convert the statement into question. Will the polar bears suffer due to the buildup of fat under their skin? With this, I go to the passage now. So see here, one reason is that they have 11 centimeters of fat under their skin. Humans with comparative levels of adipose tissue would be considered obese and would be likely to suffer from diabetes and heart disease. Yet the polar bear experiences no such consequences. So what do we understand? It has a fat under their skin is true, but humans with this comparative levels of adipose tissue would be considered to suffer from diabetes and heart disease. And Polar bear does not experiences no such consequences. So the given statement is said to be false. You understand? So next question. The study done by Liu and his colleagues compared different groups of polar bears. So again, I read the statement. The study done by Liu and his colleagues compared different groups of polar bears. The study by Liu and his colleagues compared different groups of polar bears. What did they do? They compared different groups of polar bears. So again, I go to the passage. I make sure that Shiping Liu and his colleagues have done some research about polar bears. It's true. And they compared the genetic structure of polar bears with the closest relative from the warmer climate, brown bears. So my question here is, they compared the different groups of polar bears, but here it is, they compared the polar bear with the brown bear. You understand? So the given statement is false. Okay. The second statement is also false. And the third statement, Liu and his colleagues were the first researchers to compare polar bears and brown bears genetically. Here, again they repeated, but here they said, first researchers to compare the polar bears and brown bears genetically. So, when I check the passage, I'm able to understand they have done some research, but I haven't got any information that they are the first to do the research on polar bears and brown bears. I don't get any information. Hence, there is no information given. Hence, the answer for the third one is not given. Able to understand? So next is, polar bears are able to control their levels of bad cholesterol by genetic means. So they are able to control their levels of bad cholesterol by genetic means. So with this, I go to the passage. So here, Liu and his colleagues found the polar bear had a gene known as AP0B, which reduces the levels of low density lipoproteins, a form of bad cholesterol. So yes, they have a low density lipoprotein, a form of bad cholesterol. So the given statement is true. They are able to control the levels of bad cholesterol by genetic means. And next question is, female polar bears are able to survive for about 6 months without food. So here again, female polar bears are able to survive for about 6 months without food. Again, you could divide the statement into 3 parts, or you could transfer it into question form, like, will the polar bear able to survive for about 6 months? So with this, I go to the passage. So I go with the keywords here. Again, female polar bears. And so see here, this process result in about 6 months of fasting, where the female bears have to keep themselves and their cubs alive. So this statement implies that they are about to survive for 6 months without food. Hence, the given statement is true. It was found that bones of female polar bears are very weak when they came out of their dens in spring. So what is here? Bones of female are very weak when they come out of their dens in spring. So with this, I go to the passage. So again, depleting their own calcium and calorie reserves. Despite this, their bones remain strong and dense. So they, even though they are 6 months of fasting, inside their dens, isn't it? They are able to keep their bones strong and dense. But my question here is, like they say, weak when they came out of their dens in spring. So it is false, contradicts the information, hence it is said to be false. The polar bear's mechanism for increasing bone density could also be used by people one day. So here my keywords are mechanism for increasing bone density used by people one day. Again, I go to the passage. So see, this mechanism of bone remodeling in polar bears is understood. Many bedridden humans and even astronauts could potentially benefit. So that bone mechanism is understood. The people like bedridden humans and even astronauts, they could benefit from this, from the polar bear. Hence the statement is true. So this is one of the method of finding the answers for true or false not given in IELTS. Okay. Reading task. Hence, okay, we go to the next part. Here we have complete the table below. Choose one word only from the passage for each answer. So write your answers in the boxes from 8 to 13 on your answer sheet. Reasons why polar bears should be protected is the heading here. So people think of bears as unintelligent and dash. So when I go and search this in the passage, so see here, we tend to want to protect animals we think intelligent and possess emotions such as elephants and primates. Bears, on the other hand, seems to be perceived as stupid and in many cases violent. So when I analyze this passage and these lines, I go with the keyword actually. So my keyword here is bears was unintelligent and dash. Unintelligent is my keyword. So here unintelligent. So I think the animals we think are intelligent and possess emotions such as elephants and primates. So elephants are intelligent and possess emotions. Bears, on the other hand, perceived as stupid and many cases violent. So stupid is nothing but unintelligent, and the answer is violent. Stupid and violent. So the answer is people think of bears as unintelligent and violent. However, this may not be correct. For example, in Tennoji Zoo, a bear has been seen using a branch as a dash. This allowed him to knock down some dash. So in Tennoji Zoo, a bear is seen using a branch as a dash, and this allowed to knock down some dash. So again, I go to the passage. Here is the Tennoji Zoo, a male bear called Gogo in Tennoji Zoo. Would able to see, has been observed making use of a tool to manipulate his environment. The bear used a tree branch on multiple occasions to dislodge a piece of meat hung out of his reach. So when I observe these statements here, I am able to understand the bear used tree branch as a tool. Why it is used? It used to dislodge the piece of meat hung out of his reach. So it wanted to dislodge a piece of meat. So again, I come back to the question. So see here, in Tennoji Zoo, a bear has been using branch as a tool, and this allowed him to knock down some meat. Able to understand? And next question is, A wild polar bear worked out a method of reaching a platform where a dash was located. So again, here my keyword is wild polar bear, method of reaching a platform where dash was located. So again, I go to the passage with this keyword. So a calculated move by a male bear involved running and jumping onto barrels in an attempt to get a photographer standing on a platform 4 meters high. So a wild polar bear worked out a method of reaching. Is nothing but a calculated move. So a calculated move of reaching a platform where a photographer was located. So a photographer is the answer here. Could you able to understand? Yeah. Next, polar bears displayed a behavior such as conscious manipulation of objects and activity similar to dash. Here again, I have the word conscious manipulation of objects and activity similar to dash. So with these keywords, I go to the passage. So see this deliberate and focused manipulation. What it aims observe, putting objects in piles and then knocking them over in what appear to be a game. So it's like a game, putting the objects in piles in order and knocking them over. It arranges the objects and knock them out, which appear to be a game for the polar bears. So what is the answer here? Polar bears displayed a behavior such as conscious manipulation of objects and activities similar to a game. And bears may also display emotions. For example, they may make movements suggesting dash if disappointed when hunting. So it's something related to emotions. And what happens if disappointed when hunting is the question. So with this, I go to the passage. So as for emotions is concerned, seemingly out of frustration when they just missed out on a kill. So what do you mean by this? When they missed out on a kill is nothing but disappointment. So when they get disappointed, what happens? Frustration. Frustration is the answer. So they may make movements suggesting frustration if disappointed when hunting. They may form relationship with other species. Yes, I hope you are able to understand this. You are just going with the keywords. With the help of keywords, I am able to answer this passage. Could you able to understand? Yes.